I'm lonely, I drink a fancy beer.
Fancy beer.
Oh, when I want you only, I drink a fancy beer.
Fancy beer.
And when the weather's stormy and daybreak is far, I'd throw an extra $1.50 on the bar. There's no sense in saving pennies if I don't know where you are. Oh, I drink a fancy beer.
Fancy beer.
All right, hello and welcome back to The Beer Show. I'm Steve B. This is Eric T. This episode today, we've got it's jam-packed, full of hops, full of malts. We're doing IPAs.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, and hey, nice shirt.
I like yours too.
Hey,
We
thanks
must
very
shop at
much.
the same place.
Yeah. Well, these shirts just came in, and in addition to the shirts, we got the coasters just came in as
The
well.
Beer Show coasters. We're official.
The Beer Show.
It's legit.
Absolutely legit. IPAs, man. We could go on for days and days about IPAs.
There's all kinds of IPAs, aren't there?
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
East Coast.
East Coast, West Coast, the original from India or from England, right?
Right, originally from England, and I mean this particular beer style came about in the 1800s, and in 1840, 1850, around that area was when the British sailors were sailing with real ale, and it would not hold up. It would not even last a 3-month journey down to India. So
That'd be a shame. Get all the way to India and find out you don't have beer.
you got bad beer.
That'd be terrible.
I guess the solution, and that's really what brought the IPA to light, is they discovered that the hops actually acts as a preservative to help the beer age and better and stay,
Keeps the stability.
keeps it good. In
Oh,
fact, the flavors were even better by the time they got there in some
Yeah, because
instances.
with those beers, they were adding hops later on in the process as well. Dry hopping isn't that the term I've heard?
Absolutely, yeah. So dry hopping is done in fermentation, and could be dry hopped once, twice, and in different times throughout the boil as well. But and speaking of England and the UK, I got us what they call in the UK is an imperial pint. An imperial pint is 20 ounces.
I like that.
And
Now we need 20
I
ounce
thought
cans.
you'd
We
like-
need 20 ounce cans now.
Right, we do. And as opposed to, most beers here and bars here serve a 16-ounce pint. Anyway, so let's circle back around to the IPAs, because it's so country of origin we mentioned is England. But alcohol by volume, the ABV on these beers.
These are pretty heavy.
Absolutely.
I think this one here is specifically a 6.7.
Okay.
We're drinking Sierra Nevada hazy little thing IPA. And these hazy beers, like we had mentioned, this the New England version of an IPA, and that's different than slightly different than your regular IPAs that we discussed came from England. For one, they're cloudy
Oh yeah.
in appearance.
Yep. It's definitely a hazy one.
But I think they're probably, a little more marketable in that they're not so hoppy.
It's a good balance, and you really get those aromatic kind of floral notes when you bring it up to your mouth and nose.
This one here, as a hazy IPA, they end up a little on the lighter scale of that barrel, on that
yeah,
chart.
and you can tell it's not as bitter.
This one here is a 35.
Okay. Wow.
So it's off the charts on the low end.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
it's a very smooth, easy to drink beer.
It's very approachable, I think, even for somebody that maybe doesn't like IPAs and doesn't like all those hop characteristics that are typically found in an IPA. This might be the one for you.
Should we fire up the lava lamp?
Shoot,
The
yeah,
beer
for
light?
Sure, yeah, the beer light. Now this one, got to be a little careful. This one doesn't fit quite as well as the
Okay.
traditional American pint glass. But
You can
yeah.
see it's hazy.
oh yeah,
Hazy
totally.
for sure.
Can't see
We
through it at all.
came up with a new chart now. We could we started looking at colors on this.
This is SRMs,
SRM chart scale.
which is
You had the name of it before. It was
Yeah. Oh, it's a
standard reference.
Standard reference
measurement. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a
It's
standard
a beer
measurement.
scale. It's a
The
beer
scientists
scale.
came up with this chart.
It's very scientific.
It's super
So
scientific.
you hold it up next to your beer until you get to, we're looking at about a 6.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
somewhere in that neighborhood.
That's good looking.
Maybe Steve can superimpose some of this afterwards in post-production.
Can.
But,
Can
fantastic.
do.
He has the technology.
Hey, cheers.
Cheers.
This is a great beer, man. Good choice.
It is.
And then the other interesting thing is that because of the popularity of not only IPAs, but specifically the hazy IPA, is that, and I have to read it here, but the Brewers Association in 2018 actually recognized this beer style, the juicy or hazy Indian Pale Ale, as its own style.
Wow.
So it's like a
So it's-
subcategory of an IPA.
So it's not just IPA anymore, or a little. This is just a little hazy. This is a whole new brand of beer.
It is, from what it sounds like, since last year.
Wow. Yeah, it has taken off. Because, like we said, the style itself is pretty new too. The hazy little thing came out in, the brewery opened up in 1980, so it's no older than that.
Oh, it's not that old, though. I don't think so.
I think hazy IPAs, they're probably no more than 10, 15 years old at that.
Right. I think they really started, you started to see them 2010?
Yeah.
Right around there, I think. And something else that I found too, which was interesting, is that so these hazy IPAs, they have a smooth consistency or mouthfeel, if you will. And then the characteristics, the hazy characteristic is achieved by a couple of things. Well, brewing techniques, obviously, but then the particular strains of yeast that are used to ferment the beer, and then the timing of when they add the hops in the boil, and like he said, dry hopped as well in some cases. I don't think this one is. But, and then also the other thing that contributes to the haziness, it can be the water, and they actually change the chemistry of the water.
And then this is unfiltered too, isn't that?
Right. Oh,
It's
yeah.
unfiltered after adding the last hops, or
Yeah, and you can clearly see it's definitely, oh man, and the flavors, it's amazing.
yeah, it's a good one.
I like this a lot.
It's a nice, refreshing beer. I mean, if you're
It is.
chilling on the beach or
It-
outside doing some yard work or something, this this is exactly what you want to.
And it's surprising to me anyway at 6.7 to be that refreshing.
Yeah, I guess you don't want to.
You know?
You don't want to have too many of them. But
And then going back to just more general information on the IPA, some of the top IPAs I looked up was Stone, kind of topped the list. Stone IPA,
Stone, yeah,
Stone
no,
Brewing
that's,
in San Diego.
That's a West Coast brew.
Right. Yeah, so Stone tops the list of IPAs, and no matter what list you look it up on, it's up there. It's up in the top 10. Another one worth mentioning, I think, is the Voodoo Ranger IPA. I'm sure you've seen that one out there. Racer 5 IPA,
That's a good
another
one.
West Coast beer from Bear Republic, which is in Healdsburg.
Right?
Healdsburg, yeah, right off 101. As is another one that we're going to get into a little later is in Petaluma, and that's the Lagunitas IPA.
Right.
Is another one that always seems to kind of fall in that top 10, top 15 list of best IPAs, or the highest rated IPAs anyway.
And definitely some good ones out there.
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers.
But going back to this East Coast, West Coast kind of thing, surprisingly, the best-selling IPA is Goose Island in Chicago.
Well, just met them halfway, huh?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get them into the mix here just to see how they end up on the flavor scale. Once we try we're trying the hazies now. We'll get over to the West Coast IPA shortly, and we'll squeeze in the Goose and see squeeze the Goose, as it were, and see where that fits in.
Fantastic.
Might be half and half.
It sounds great. And I wanted to mention also some of the, again, traditionally, where'd it go? I wanted to talk about just the contemporary, going back to the contemporary or traditional American IPAs. So you're looking at Cascade, Centennial, Chinook, Simcoe, Amarillo. I really love Amarillo. Beers with Amarillo hops in there is amazing. Warrior hops, Nugget hops, and they're all readily available on the West Coast. And I think that speaks to also why there is that difference between East Coast, West Coast.
Now those grains are hops. That's specifically Northwest hops.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So because the close proximity alone to a lot of these West Coast breweries is why they're hoppier than your East Coast
Sure.
rivals.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think too that like a lot of the IPAs on the East Coast derive their flavors from more of the specialty grains, more so than the hops.
I see.
I mean, I find the East Coast ones to be more earthy and grainy feel, more so than the hoppy. The hoppy flavors don't come through as much
Right.
as they do on the West Coast, where that's really all they're about is hops, right? They just pack them with hops, 4 or 5 different types of hops, mix them all up, what have you, and that's why you've really got this distinct flavors, 2 different flavors altogether. And then I'm not sure where Goose fits in. I mean, I think more traditional, but being a Chicago beer, I know it's super popular. I think the Goose Island Brewery IPA has won more awards than any other. They won 6.
Wow.
Six
I remember
awards.
when he first hit the island here, being in Maui. I mean, they hit it by storm. I mean, you couldn't go to a bar. You couldn't go to a
You'd see the
fast
Goose
food
tap
place. You
handle
see the Goose everywhere.
everywhere. The Ranger IPA is another great one. Dogfish Head, of course, that's their 90-minute IPA. That one's super hoppy. I know I'm jumping around a little bit, but I feel like there's
So much to cover at IPA.
hundreds and hundreds of IPAs, right? Hundreds. In fact, there was 275 IPAs were submitted to the Great American Brew Fest last year. Tell you what, I'm going to leave that there for you all to see, and I'm going to move. What do you want to? We're going to move into the next one.
Yeah, let's move on to the next one. Where do we want to go? Do we want to do another hazy? Do we want to do?
I'm open to. Yeah, sure. Hazy's good. I don't know if one's lighter than the other, so these are all big beers.
So what do we got here? We got
Oh,
Rogue Bat
I'm
Squatch.
sorry. I did have these in the fridge.
Okay, well.
I wasn't. Yeah, never mind. Carry on.
Anyhow, it says hazy IPA, so we'll go with that. We'll consider it a hazy IPA.
Hazy and Rogue, of course, is a fantastic beer. I'm sorry. I thought we were talking Stone, but we're talking Rogue.
Oh, were we talking Stone? Well, we meant Rogue.
We did.
Oh, you're right. We did talk Stone.
That's why I couldn't find Stone in the fridge.
Well, we meant Rogue. I was
Yeah.
looking at getting Arrogant Bastard.
That's
the other
another
IPA.
great one.
Yeah.
Yeah, another great one.
And as I reached for that, I saw this 1 6-pack behind there, and I'm like, we needed a second hazy.
We need a second hazy. Very similar in color, yeah.
It is.
And haziness too. Not as much of a head on this one.
No.
It's very,
Interesting.
very
Pours
short.
very clean, but yeah, that is hazy. I can't even
Oh
see my
my
fingers on the other
God.
side. That's chewy.
That is going to be chewy. I'm going to set this out here for you guys.
Yeah, I'm going to do a little research here.
I'm going to do some research on my own right here.
Like your research better.
Oh,
we're
wow.
looking at a 6.7% ABV.
Well, that's spot
And,
on the other one.
Yeah, and 54 IBUs. So it's a little hoppier.
A little more bitter. Mm-hmm. A lot more bitter.
Cheers.
Cheers, Eric. Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh man, that's juicy.
That is
and-
a nice flavor.
Juicy and chewy, as you said, but look at the difference in the color and
And clarity, yeah.
clarity. Yeah.
Now, one thing we didn't mention, going back to the hazies, was one of the things that really sets them apart, aside from not being very hoppy, is that they have a very floral scent to them.
On the
You
aroma.
really taste the citrus or the
Yeah, the floral, the citrus, the grape, almost grape. I'm getting almost like a grapefruit.
yeah. Yeah, there's
I feel like I contributed a lot there with the grapefruit.
well,
comment,
you
man.
did. That threw me
Threw
off.
you
It's
off.
like,
You're like,
wow,
whoa, grapefruit.
I
You're
haven't-
right. There's grapefruit in
I
there.
haven't smelled a grapefruit.
haven't had a grapefruit for breakfast in a long time.
Yeah, it goes back way long. Yeah, no,
Oh, man.
it definitely has some floral to it, some pine in there. Some,
I'd like to understand where the 54 IBUs come in. I'm not getting a super bitter
I'm not getting
finish.
any bitterness in there.
No, it's not.
If anything,
bitter.
this even feels less than the than a little hazy.
I'd have to go back to the crazy little hazy or whatever it was, hazy little thing.
I see.
I'd have to go. Yeah, I did as well. I just kind of leave it there for you to see. But hey, let's look at the beer light. Let's get into the beer light. Oh yeah, it's a little darker. This is, I'm guessing 7 or 8 on this one.
It depends on where we're going on the.
Yeah.
You know.
Take the light down just a touch.
Yeah, I mean, if we're looking
Yeah, if you're looking at this top
that
part,
top area, we're looking pretty close to an 8.
Yeah.
You're right, 7 for sure, 7.5 maybe.
And like I said,
I don't think we're quite at a 9 though, but somewhere between a 7 and an 8.
Right. Interesting. And whereas the other one we said was like 6.
A pretty solid 6, yeah.
Solid 6 on that one. And so you can see it clearly, see the difference here in the color. Definitely a couple of points up on this one. Speaking of points, what would you give the hazy out of 10, let's say?
Out of 10, I mean, as far as a hazy IPA goes, yeah, you want to.
It's a good one.
You want to do it within the same category, I would imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, 'cause everybody's got their favorite beers, and this one's growing on me. Yeah, I'm going 8, 8.5 on that. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, it's a solid beer.
I liked it as well. I would definitely solid 8 for me as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem going to 8 on that one. And especially now that, the National Brewers Association has peeled it off as its own category.
It's a whole new beer.
So we're not comparing it to other IPAs, is my point.
Exactly.
We're keeping hazies with hazies.
Hazies
here.
are hazies.
I'm saying, yeah, you're spot on 8 right there. And this one here,
I might go a little higher on this one.
I'm thinking too. I was
8.5,
like,
8.75
I'm liking
maybe.
the flavor. I'm liking the mouth feel as well.
Everything about it. I mean,
Smooth,
very
balanced.
smooth, very little aftertaste, or very, the aftertaste is just perfect. Yeah, we might have to do some more research on this one.
we will. We will. Maybe not for this show, but we'll sit here and drink it and tell you how we
In
think.
post, we'll figure it out in post.
What we think about it. Yeah.
No, this is a very good beer.
Yeah, it's outstanding. I'd go 8.5 maybe on this one here. Yeah, if I'm giving that one an 8, I got to give this one just a little skosh.
A little bump up, but yeah,
up,
I think so too.
Yeah.
And it's amazing that, like you said, that it's that much smoother with more IBUs.
Right.
It's kind of abnormal. That was maybe that was a Halloween beer. I don't know. I mean,
maybe.
I'm not sure if that was if this year-round beer. I know the haze, the first one we had, that is a nationally available year-round.
Yes,
beer.
unlimited release on that one. I don't know that it started out that way, but it certainly is now.
No, I don't think any of these hazes started out that way. I think they all
Yeah.
started out as a fall beer.
Kind of an experimental,
Yeah.
seasonal, like small batch kind.
And then,
And then
as the demand grew, so
Came-
did the inventory.
And the thing is, I mean, IPAs are they're just so, everybody seems to love IPAs now. Everybody's latched onto IPAs, and it's because of the hops, it's because of the flavor, it's because of the choices. There's so many.
That's it. I think it's because of the variety. Because, I mean, like we've discussed, there's, not only the hazy, not only the West Coast, but even within each branch, everybody has different hops, different grains, different yeast, different things that they're going to bring to the table. So everything's going to taste a little different.
Yeah.
So everybody has, it's a whole subgenre of beer.
Yeah.
And I mean, for me, when I travel, even that's some of the fun in traveling for me, is stopping by different brew pubs, even just stop by a regular local brewery or a local gas station. Even just pick up a local 6-pack or something, and just see what the local flavors are. See what's popular locally.
Yeah.
Just see what that town's all about. I normally start with the pale ales.
Yeah.
and then work my way up to IPAs.
You know, which this is. This is
Yeah,
a pale ale.
It is pale ale.
Originally a pale ale, but then again, going back to the history of it, it's just that they added the hops to preserve it and change
Right.
the
Yeah, I
flavor,
guess-
and then it became
I
India
guess
pale ale.
pale ales became different from India pale ales at some point. You know, it broke off, became its own segment. Like hazy just broke off and became a separate IPA. You know,
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
but
yeah.
typically, you know, well,
I mean, I think you got to make the distinction between, you know, okay, the super old 150-year-old original IPA from the UK, and then what they were doing on the East Coast in the late 80s, early 90s,
Sure.
to what they're doing today on the West Coast. It's evolved. You know, the beer has evolved, and that's why I just love the IPA
the beer,
style
the
of
process,
beer.
the science about it.
yep.
You know,
It's a fantastic style of beer because you're sort of free as a brewer, you're free to experiment and add all sorts of different hops and even hemp. And it's just amazing the kind of IPAs you can find out there. It's
I think
really
people get more and more daring as to what they're willing to try.
very
And it's,
creative.
Yeah,
It's
it's just
as,
adding a lot more.
As a brewer, I could imagine that being a lot of fun to just get in there and being able to, you have the freedom to experiment with an IPA, whereas, you know, you're making a lager, it's like, okay,
It's got to be a lager.
it needs to be a lager and a stout and a brown and it's sort of like, yeah,
Can't do much different.
not really.
Can't deviate. I guess it's
Not too
difference
much.
between a baker and a chef, right?
Good
You know,
point.
somebody's got to follow the formula, and somebody just kind of goes, weighs it, and throws
Yes.
something together.
Yeah, yeah.
And tries something new.
That's true, I've always thought that and known that, you know, brewing is an art and science kind of a balance. But you certainly with the IPA's got the freedom to experiment.
Yeah.
And that's awesome, and that's why we got so many great beers out there. Probably 300 or 400 different IPAs right now on the market,
It's amazing.
and I read, I think
And
it was
that's just on the
30%.
domestic market.
Oh yeah, this is just U.S.
Yeah.
We're talking U.S. and I think it was something like 35% market share.
Cheers, man.
Cheers to that. Yeah, I do like this one a lot as well.
I do
think,
too.
Yeah, 8.5 is where I'm at on this one.
Yeah.
Got to leave a little room, but yeah. But at the same time, this is a great beer.
Yeah, that was a nice find. I'm happy I found that.
Yeah, good find. Thank you for finding it and sharing it. It's a great one. I'm going to set it right there, and we're going to move on. So we got that's the Sierra Nevada. This one here is the Rogue. And yeah, where should we?
Where do we go from here?
Exactly. That is the question.
Well, I think
always
it's time
the
to go to the
question.
West Coast.
Okay, we can do that. Lagunitas. Lagunitas is amazing IPA.
Well, yeah, let's give Lagunitas a try.
All right, it's from Petaluna. Uh-oh. Hey, there's the Bulldog. There he is. Get in the game, buddy. So this one here, Lagunitas IPA, India Pale Ale.
Right. Now, West Coast brews or Coast IPAs are different, obviously. Like we discussed, different hops, different yeast, different
Right.
characteristics all around. And the first thing I'm noticing is that it's clear. This is obviously filtered.
Yeah, very clear and a lot darker.
Mm-hmm.
A lot darker.
Yeah, we can even bring up the chart.
This out here. That's that one there.
All right.
Excellent. And I've got some notes. I actually did a little research on this one somewhere. Yeah, again, this comes in. It's always near the top 10. It's always in the top 10 list of the best IPAs in the country. At least last year it was. Came in at number 8.
Oh, very good. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah. Oh yeah. For such a young brewery, it is fairly young.
Cheers.
Yeah. Cheers, Eric. Yeah. Look at that color. Huh? I'm gonna try
nice.
it first, and we'll hit the beer light.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's completely different. It's very nice, though. Gone are the florals, you know?
Yeah, they're gone. Now you're tasting the pale malts.
Yep.
You're tasting you're tasting the hops, but it's got a really nice balance,
It does.
right, between those malts and the hops. It's not
It's not
overpowering
overpowered.
on either side.
No.
Yeah, no, it's good, and the color it's darker than the hazies, but it's got a lighter color than a lot of other IPAs that are out there. They
Right.
come in a lot darker, and we can check the SRM chart, but I'm gonna guess this is probably coming in at around 10.
Yeah,
Maybe.
it's
Let's
gonna
hit the
be-
bear light. But you're right, it's tricky, right? Because the clarity kind of. Oop, maybe it was on. Oh shoot, I left it on.
Yeah, it's
9?
Yeah, maybe a 9.
8, 9,
Eight-
8, 9. I would say.
Yeah,
right in
some
there.
8.5.
Yeah,
Call that 8.5.
sure. Yeah, great color. It's lighter than some other ones out there. And again, very very mild compared to some other IPAs that are double, triple hopped and all that stuff, and then dry hopped on top of that. And again, it's these beers. IPAs are typically hopped with Cascade, Centennial, Columbus, Chinook, Simcoe, Amarillo. I love Tomahawk, Warrior, Nugget, to name a few. But those are all again the
They're
hops
all
that
the
are
Northwest.
Northwest, yeah, and they grow. They grow like weeds up there. So I'm told. I actually haven't been to a really big. I've been to a couple of hop farms, but not big ones like in the Pacific Northwest. And that's where all these hops are coming from.
I've been to a couple of weed farms up in the Northwest.
Oh, okay, that's a
That's
different
a
show.
different show.
That's a different show altogether. Oh, but since you mentioned it, that does come from the same family. It's a great part of the country to grow hops.
Is exploding with the brew pubs. You know, obviously California is too because they have the population to sustain it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you know, when you get up to the Northwest, you might not have the population, but you got a lot of the entrepreneurial spirit. A lot of people just, you know,
That's true, yeah.
want to do it yourself, try it yourself, do what you can, and when you have all the key ingredients there, why not?
Yeah. You know, the fresher the beer is, the better it is. And I think if you're buying it from the source, you cannot do any better than that.
Oh, especially if your neighbor's brewing a beer and, you know, it's 11 o'clock on a Saturday night.
And you ran out.
You don't want to drive down just to find out that you're 5 minutes late. You know, just go knock on Tony's door and boom, boom.
Hey.
Fill me up a couple of growlers.
Couple of
I'll
growlers.
catch you tomorrow.
Yeah. Cheers. Like it. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah. I need to talk to my neighbors.
Oh, man. Yeah. Take a quick break, come right back, and we'll get into some more IPAs. This is the IPA episode, so might as well. Cheers. I'm
Cheers.
Steve B.
Eric T.
Thanks for watching The Beer Show.
2, 3, 4. When I'm lonely, I drink a fancy beer. Oh, when I want you only, I drink a fancy beer. And when the weather's stormy and daybreak is far, I'd throw an extra $1.50 on the